going on, all you sports fans out there? I am Snickers. This is Meat Snack. This is Snick Snack Sports, bringing you the Mansfield, Pennsylvania State University Fantasy Football Podcast. How you doing today, Nate?
I'm doing excellent. I'm back on the road to the playoffs. Almost a guaranteed shoe-in, as are you, I'm sure. 3-7 Twins. It's a good week. Good week to be a fantasy football player.
Yeah, absolutely. We're definitely going to both make the playoffs.
Can't count us out. But we have a big show for you this week. We have Kyle joining us. We'll talk about the news. We'll break down some of last week's games. Who's in, who's out. No one's out yet, officially. And although one person is officially in, as we'll talk about in a second. But let's jump into the rewind from last week. So before we jump into any standing updates, why don't you update us on what happened with our bet last week, Snickers?
Yeah, last week we were betting on Jonathan Taylor, thinking it's going to be possibly a top 16 running back. I said no because I was so good with my bet the week before where I bet against my own player. But it turns out Jonathan Taylor was running back one last week. So Nate did get the dub there, but you can never count anyone out. It's a 6-3 now, so we're just a few games off here.
No, yeah. So I'm at 6 points. You have 3. We're a little over halfway done now, so you do have some catching up to do. But I can't blame you for that bet. I actually thought I was on the weaker standing there. Some of the professional ranking sites had him ranked as low as 29th, and thought I was really going on a limb by saying he's going to be top 16. And I think that Coach Saturday was just a little bit of a different character than we thought he would be.
No, I mean, I think Coach Saturday is exactly who I was going to think he'd be. He's not going to try and lose any games. He's not going to be able to get bribed by anyone to get the number 1 overall draft pick next year. He's trying to win.
I thought that was the whole reason that they put him in there. But I mean, I don't know the guy. But he immediately went and put Matt Ryan back in, which was supposedly the reason that the previous coach got fired, was that he wanted to do the same thing. So very confusing. But what are we betting on this week, Nick?
Yeah, this week it's a James Conner bet. He's back healthy from injury. He has, as we're going to talk about in a second, Benjamin just got released by the Cardinals, so he's basically the only running back still on the team and is not in IR. I'm thinking that he's going to be good, but not top 13 good. Nate has 13 and up. I had 14 and down as far as overall finish for a running back this week.
That's right. He is playing for John's team, I'm playing this week. So it was related to our matchups. I am a little bit afraid of James Conner this week. So maybe a little bit of hedging here. I hope he does bad, but if he does great, then I win the bet. So yeah, let's take a look at the standings though. I think it's very interesting right now. A very big week for many, as we will see. Here, pulling back. We have our official in the playoff berth contender with Katie, who I have made fun of over and over again. But no, she is in. She's the number 1 seed right now. Incredible. Kyler and Shane are basically in, and they are considering Kyle to actually be basically in too. And meanwhile, we have 2 people who are kind of on the outs right now. Kenny and Matt are both having kind of a tenuous grasp on the playoffs. I think it's clear to me that the Olive Man is, at this point, making it in over one of these 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty exciting to watch this unfold. I've never had only 3 wins this far into the season before. I'm usually in week 3 when I get 3 wins. But it is pretty exciting. Obviously, you said no one's been eliminated from the playoffs yet, and it's fun that Olive Man actually has a better chance right now than Kenny's Hopium.
Yeah, actually, I didn't notice that until right now. But welcome to the club in terms of having 3 wins. I think this is perennially me. And then when I make it, I sneak in at the last minute because I go on this end of season run. But you can see that none of us are counted out. Mid-tier Nick and Kyler do have, or Carson do have a 2% chance of getting in. But my path to making the playoffs is as follows. Matt has to finish the season 1-3. I have to beat him, and I have to win out.
Yeah, I have a pretty similar path here. I have to beat Carson. I have to beat Kenny this week, and I have to beat Matt here one of these weeks for you, and
So
then
our
beat John again, which I pretty much always beat John. But
Yeah, I'm playing John this week, and his team actually is looking a little scary right now. He also has a path to the playoffs, so it's actually cleaner than mine. But I think our interests are aligned here. We are not opposing. We could theoretically both make it if we took out the right people.
yeah,
Both went out, I guess. And we can see down here that Matt's a particularly good candidate for getting kicked out because he actually has more points against than points for, despite his winning record. And I think that's a red flag. Um, and so I think that whether it's me who takes Matt or not, I think Kenny and Matt are both out. Um, Now, looking at the matchups last week, I did finally net a win. It had been 5 weeks, I believe, 4 or 5 weeks. Um, and but I did handily beat Kenny here, who again is on the decline. Um, Big week from Deonta Foreman again. Big week from Devontae Adams, Jalen Hurts. DeAndre Swift is scaring me, and unfortunately, I have to play him this week. But I do. My team is hanging on. It can still put up a big week. Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert both were very startable on my bench. Terry McLaurin was very startable. So I have the crew to do it if luck is on my side. And meanwhile, Kenny is struggling. I mean, of course, having Derrick Henry have his one bad week at the end of the season doesn't help. Um, but overall, I think a number of people underperformed for him. Now tell us about what happened with the Olive Man and near mid-tier Nick.
yeah, it looks like obviously Ducky's continuing the rise, Nick Adams continuing the fall here. Nick Adams got a dud from McCole Hardman, Tom Brady, Christian McCaffrey being the best guys in his team. Not always going to be a strategy for success there. Obviously, Ducky was able to get Justin Fields. I don't remember how much he paid for him, but he was pretty pretty good last couple weeks. Quarterback one, Justin Jefferson, CD Lamb has the best game of his career, and yeah, Ducky looks like he's only going up right now with his pretty star players there.
Yeah, and this was with Chris Olave really not performing for him. I think he's sure hoping that Jameis comes back in there.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Dennis Allen's kind of thinking he likes Andy Dalton a little bit better, it seems like, but
Yeah, a bit mysterious to me. But then we have a matchup between Matt that we can see he barely won last week at like 74 points. This week he got one of the lowest scores on the season, and Carson did beat him, which was necessary to keep him in the playoff hunt. He would have been eliminated had he lost this game. And ironically, won with Matt's score from last week. And now this was another just really sloppy one. Justin Herbert has not paid out for Matt. Nick Chubb has cooled down. Cooper Kupp out for the season now. So, I mean, I'm thinking, thank goodness that he got Zeke when he did. I think he's his last hope. And Odell Beckham, let's see, he signed somewhere. But we have Carson is not performing strongly, but I still think that his team can do it in the right circumstances. Can he win out this year, make the playoffs? No. Will he net another win or two and maybe spoil someone else's chances? Maybe. I think that depends on whether Chase Claypool can actually become something and Deebo Samuel returns to form.
yeah, I mean, when you're starting Kansas City running backs, you're not going to have too much success. I have Clyde in one of my other leagues, and he's basically out. I'm going to drop him number one first round pick a couple years ago. But
Yeah, I heard they tried to sign Eno Benjamin to replace him.
yeah,
So now this was another not close one, a rare bad week for Kyler. I don't know what's happening there. I think he might have had a bad week last week as well.
yeah, it looks like he had a couple guys on bye, but he's sticking with his two tight end strategy. He scored 3.9 points total last week, which is kind of rough. His front five there, Brissett, Jacobs, Etienne, Smith-Schuster, and Devontae Smith, looking pretty smooth. But yeah, Katie has a couple of his powerhouses on her team. Tony Pollard, she's loving that. Obviously, Zeke's back this week, so TP is going to go down a little bit. But Pat Mahomes, another 4 touchdowns. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I just need to shut up about Katie's team because she continues to get it done. Doesn't matter if Amari Cooper is cold. Doesn't matter if T. Higgins is on bye. Who cares? She'll get it done, it seems like.
So the fun fact about Amari Cooper, when he plays at home in Cleveland, he is amazing. When he plays on the road, he is horrible. So he's playing at Buffalo this week. Do not start Amari Cooper.
I don't think Katie's listening, but I'm sure she'll play him and she'll somehow still prevail. We'll look at the matchups later to see how that might impact her. Now we have John with a resurgent week. He's 4-6 now. He doesn't need to win out, actually. He can afford to lose one more game and probably still make it in. And he beat out Kyle, who didn't have a bad week, but couldn't match up with John's above average week. Marcus Mariota continues to be average, which is all John needed. James Conner got it done. Hoping that doesn't happen next week unless it gets me to not sing karaoke. So we'll see. Amon-Ra St. Brown finally back in form. Gabe Davis does his hit or miss thing. And he'll be getting Ramondre back next week. Kyle's team, I don't know. It was Josh Allen have a special week this week, but it was fine. It really, I think what's killing him is just that A.J. Dillon continues to be a starting running back for him.
Yeah. No, Josh Allen threw a couple picks that obviously cost him the game. We got the fumble and cost him the fantasy game, it looks like, as well here.
That's right. And I'm sure that he was disappointed to hear about Eno Benjamin. I mean, he got re-signed, but I don't expect him to. He's now basically directly competing with Dameon Pierce, who maybe that'll be a net loss for Pierce as well. We'll see. And then your matchup this week, Nick. Not a bad week for you either, but Shane's been on a tear. I think 6 in a row for him.
Yeah, no, Shane's doing well with his, I guess above average team now. It looks like Dalvin Cook, Saquon Barkley, AJ Brown, Jalen Waddle. They're going to win you most weeks here. Kind of have to root for the other guys in his team, like Christian Kirk, to not go off. But I do enjoy my team. Obviously, Lamar was on bye last week, starting Trev. But JT, Kenneth Walker, who's on bye. Rondale Moore's back in it. DJ Moore. Got one of the best kickers in the game, Harrison Butker. And I know Shane was pretty upset that he had someone on his bench go off, but he's kind of the king of bench scorers.
Yeah, I mean, and who could have known that Cole Kmet was going to score 2 touchdowns 2 weeks in a row? I'm not playing him over George Kittle even after that.
Right. But no, it was a tough loss, but like you said, just win out here and we'll all be good.
Yeah, neither one of our schedules are too difficult, so not giving up. Now, tell us about the news this week. There was some big news in the fantasy world.
Yeah, there was a lot of news. Obviously, we talked on a couple of these things so far, but Cooper Kupp back to the IR, Khalil Herbert put on IR, Dallas Goedert put on IR after that. Washington should have been called a face mask penalty. Chase Young on the Washington team is back. He's practicing. He might be playing this week. A couple guys got dropped and then re-signed pretty quickly. Eno Benjamin, like you said, released by the Cardinals, picked up by the Texans. Now we have to see if he's going to interfere with Dameon Pierce, who is the 5th leading rusher in the league currently. And then Monty Rogers, the punt returner for the Green Bay Packers, got dropped after he fumbled a couple times already this season, got picked up by the Cowboys. So the Cowboys have honestly one of the best special teams units in the country right now after that. But David Johnson, blast in the past, got signed to the Saints practice squad this week. We'll see if he gets any game action this week. But a couple buys this week: Dolphins, Buccaneers, Seahawks, Jaguars. There's only a couple teams left after that, but try and make sure you set your lineups this week, guys.
Yeah, tough week for me. This is going to be the week to beat me. Unfortunately, I need to win out, but if I get through this one, I think I'll be all right. But now let's take a look at the week ahead, and we'll just one moment right now. We will have Mel on in just a moment to talk about his team, which is looking pretty good for the playoffs. But right before we do, we just have a quick word from today's sponsor.
Are you tired of diets that don't work? Exercises that are too difficult? Or maybe you just don't want to be a loser? These are all valid reasons to start the CA2 method. Created in a non-meth lab by the world-renowned Caitlin Anthony of Caitlin's Hot Takes, the CA2 method is here to take your performance to the next level. A few of the revolutionary takeaways from the CA2 method include eating a diet of 20% nightshades and 80% Butterfingers, Pinot Grigio for acidity, never Chardonnay, no Tom Petty for any reason, and muscles are purely for show. They don't actually do anything. People have been raving about the CA2 method. Just listen to what Katie has to say.
I use the CA2 method because, have you seen Caitlin? It, obviously works. Plus that Tom Petty guy, totally sucks and, for sure stole her idea.
So if you want to look and feel like Caitlin, run to your nearest bookstore to pick up the CA2 method. You won't regret it.
No, very exciting to have attention drawn to one of our own team members' new products. So pick up your copy at the local bookstore. I'm sure she has a book, nicely illustrated. All right, please welcome Kyle to the show. Welcome, Kyle. Right now, the playoffs looking pretty good for you. We just saw that you are sitting there, I think, at 95% chance to make it, although you're in fourth place. And what's the focus for you at the end of the season?
Yeah, well, I guess first things first, congrats to John on the big week. Had to look back. I think his highest score heading into last week was 110, and he might have scored over 100 points 2 or 3 times. So props to him for putting up 121 to really boost up my points against number here. But yeah, we're sort of feel like we're hanging on by a thread here. I mean, I feel like my team should be in a lot better position, but yet here we are at 6-4. I was thinking man, yeah, with the way it started, 4-0, top 2 seed, locked in the bag. But now we're somehow fighting for a playoff spot here. So it turns quickly.
Well, I hear that there's a lot of discouragement coming from the foo-foo cuddly poops, but I have to say, from us bottom feeders' perspective, you're a top-tier team, and this game literally does have you sitting there at 95% chance. Meanwhile, 6-4 team Matt has dropped down significantly in the rankings, and he's actually, I think Ducky has a very similar chance to make the playoffs, even though he has worse record.
So I really need to read the rules at one of these days. But so is the first tiebreaker points scored, or is it head to head?
I think it's head to head first, and then
head to head first. Okay, that makes things a little bit more interesting because obviously my point scored is pretty high, but head to head, I'm not sure how that.
Yeah, we were talking about my path to the playoffs, for example. We don't play each other again, Kyle, and you beat me. So even if I win out and you go 1-3, we'll be tied and you'll be in for both reasons, I guess.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
because I guess if it was point scored, then because I'm playing Matt this week, so I would think you bottom feeders would want me to win because he's got a lower point score than me, right? So that would knock him closer to you guys. But if it's head to head, then who freaking knows?
If me and Matt are going to play each other one more time, and if I beat him, all we have will be points scored. I need him to basically lose out. So I'm rooting for you this week. He was, I can't remember what I was going to say, but anyways, let's take a look at the matchup that you have.
Okay.
Speaking of which, and let's see here. So it is you versus Matt, and it doesn't really feel close to me, but tell me why you might have some concerns here.
It feels closer to me. You just you get Tyreek Hill on bye. You just lost Dallas Goedert. I think he got placed on IR today. I don't like that queue next to Gerald Everett. I might be without a tight end, so that's concerning. But we'll see. I mean, obviously the Allen Stephon Diggs stack has sort of carried me this whole season, so I'm going to need that. I like what Jaylen Warren is doing. I think he's getting more run down in Pittsburgh, so maybe he can turn into a second RB for me. It's really what I'm looking for. But I think it actually works out perfectly. I was looking at this the other day because we played 10 weeks, right? So the math is pretty easy. So I think my points against is 1,119 or 18 or something like that. So if you divide by 10, I think it's on average teams are scoring 118 points a week against me.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty hard to literally have to put up 120 points every week to win. So whoever Matt has on his roster, I like my odds this week, but who knows? Who does Matt have? Scroll up. Is it you still on that thing?
Oops, wrong window here.
Looking like he just has Nick Chubb this week. His receivers are all out. Cooper Cup
Yeah,
and
so here you go.
Marchese
So,
are
so
both
if you
out.
if
So
you if you play like FanDuel or like DraftKings or anything like that, put in Foster Moreau, Isaiah Pacheco, Devin Duvernay, put them all in your lineup because they're about to each score like 30 points this week. So, there you go. I just won everyone in the league like $1 million.
yeah,
Yeah,
you can make a lot of money with those guys.
I think that Matt's team has just gone totally down the tubes. I mean, I'm obviously not in the same position as you are, other than that I do kind of need him to lose as well, I guess. But he has his whole strength was his wide receivers. Both of them are out long term, it looks like.
Right.
Um, he picked up Zeke by some miracle now. But I think that his team is barely staying afloat.
Yeah, obviously the Cooper Cup news sort of hurt his team quite a bit. So we'll see how we can recover from that.
Yeah. Now, Snickers, who are you looking at this week for matchups?
I'm kind of looking up your matchup here, Tango against the pedicuretuck.com. It's pretty interesting. Obviously, John's on an uptick. He's won, what, 2 out of the last 3 probably, but looks like you still do have the better team. His team's pretty hit or miss. I mean, Amara, St. Brown, Gabe Davis, those guys can obviously tear it up if they want to, and then sometimes they just drop zeros. So your team's looking pretty exciting. I mean, you got some feisty guys out there, the Fryermuth, Teddy McLaurin, Devontae Adams, pretty fiery. You got Youngway, Yippee Way, Koo. And I think you probably come out with the win this week, which will help you in your chances here to make the playoffs.
I'm nervous. I guess maybe this sounds kind of like to you guys, like Kyle just sounded to us, but I'm like, yes, I'm projected to win by 10 points, but I'm afraid of some of these guys. James Conner, especially. We already talked about how I'm high on him this week. TJ Hawkinson, I think, could really blow up. Marcus Mariota sometimes just has big games. And but I actually think we have kind of mutual interest this week, Kyle, because I think John's really the only one that can take you out of the playoffs.
Yeah, well, his name I think is incorrect. It should be Pedicure Took, because it's based on the Lord of the Rings character Peregrine Took, the Hobbit, which is Took. I think he misspelled it Tuck, Tuck, like tucking a football. So he might need to change that. But hey, it worked for him. He won last week. So, but yeah, I guess standings wise, that does make sense that he's 4-6, right? So he's only a couple games back.
And he has the head-to-head on you, unless you're playing each other again.
I doubt it. But
Yeah, at this point in the year, probably not. I think we just play the people we played the first 3 matchups. So if you two tie, you're in trouble. But and I think you have it probably. I mean, Ducky doesn't matter. He's going to make it the playoffs over Kenny, if anybody. So I think John's the only person you need to lose. Now my matchup that I'm looking at this week is Katie versus Nick, because Katie, it's the highest projected matchup of the week, and as we know that Katie's on the CA2, I think that's pretty big, probably for her self-esteem, for her strength. It's a proven method. Muscles are for show. Now she is projected to win in almost every way over Ducky, but I just can't see him slowing down here. I mean, CeeDee Lamb and Justin Jefferson have turned into a big dynamic duo. Chris Olave, I think, is in a bit of a slump, but he has a chance to be good. The Patriots defense is one of the defenses that you want. It's actually ranked 1, which I didn't realize. Justin Fields is on an absolute tear. So if anyone can stop Katie, I think it is Ducky at this moment.
Yeah, look at all the position ranks in this matchup here. Katie has 5 top 10s. Ducky has 6 right now. So that's pretty unlikely there. Obviously, Tyler Conklin, 9th best tight end, doesn't really mean much, but it's going to be a pretty exciting matchup. I kind of am hoping that Katie takes it too, because Ducky's loss probably helped me in the chance to get into the playoffs, but we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, and for some reason, Ducky, I'm seeing is hoarding defenses. He has number 1 and number 2 defenses, so he pretty much has that spot on lock. Meanwhile, Katie is taking more of the laissez-faire approach, not making a ton of transactions, but it doesn't matter because apparently she's the draft queen.
Absolutely.
Now let's look at some of the pickups this week. It's actually a very interesting week in waiver wires.
You guys gonna make fun of me?
Well, I mean, for going for Christian Watson and losing him at 16.
No, for spending $16 on a defense.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Holy, yes, we might have to make fun of you.
I do have reasoning, but that was probably haven't seen if anybody else has even bid on them, but that was definitely
Why
definitely a
don't
big
you
bid.
explain why you decided to do this?
Yeah, I just like I was just looking at the rest of the schedule for the season for the 49ers, and I think they have pretty solid matchups the rest of the way. So I think we have like 4 weeks left of the regular season and 3 weeks left of playoffs. So that's 7 weeks of having a defense. You figure if you spend $2 to pick up a defense each week or $3, that's 21. So let's just spend 16 to make sure we have a really good one the rest of the way.
Yeah, honestly, I don't really hate that pick at all. 49ers and real NFL are obviously one of the better defenses in the whole league. I'm
Right.
surprised they were even on the waivers this week. They must have been on by a couple weeks ago, but
Yeah.
yeah, there's
Yeah,
a couple
They weren't
other
the top
items.
three, so I don't know if people really saw them this week. You had to actually click into see all the defenses.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was actually the team that dropped him, but I picked up the Broncos for them, and then I was like, I'll have the Broncos instead. That's fine.
Hmm.
$9 on Zay. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, see,
It's your
that's
show.
before. No, go ahead. But we were before the show. We were talking, and we were also I think so distracted by Nick's $29 bid on Zay Jones, the perpetual drop candidate, that we didn't even notice your $16 bid. Tell us what you think of that, Kyle.
He must really need a receiver this week. But I mean, I guess that's sort of the strategy. I know some teams in our league have sort of saved their fab for the end of the season. So we'll see. He's sort of Mr. Reliable. You can sort of pick him up and play him in any week, and he'll get you like at least 4 or 5 points. So I don't know if the big 100-yard 2-touchdown game is in Zay Jones's future, but you need a body. He's a body.
Yeah,
absolutely is a body. Yeah. No, I mean, he's not a bad pickup. I think he's definitely overspent, seeing as no one else put in too much money for him.
I
I would probably put $29 on Christian Watson, but if Zay Jones is your guy, then he's your guy.
Yeah, no, I was able to win the lottery this week, putting $23 down on Christian Watson there, getting 3 touchdowns and 4 catches last week. Try not to overreact too much, but I honestly think he's going to be a very good player and possibly the number one moving forward here. Aaron Rodgers seems to trust him now.
Yeah, if that offense is starting to turn around, then he can be a huge weapon for you.
Absolutely. And I was just surprised at kind of the philosophy shift in our league, where this week all of a sudden everyone was spending up. I was surprised that you were spending 16 on him, Kyle. Ducky was spending 15. I put in a modest $6 bid, thinking no one's bid $6 on a wide receiver hardly this year at all. I'm going to get him, and everyone's going to make fun of me for overspending again. Not even close. I think it seems like half the league put in a bid on him. Darius Slayton, who's done nothing this year, ended up going for $8, which was a tie bid. Very interesting to me.
It must be like it has to be like sort of the Aaron Rodgers effect, It's like you see one good game where it's like Rodgers is back. They seem to be figuring it out. And, with the whole Devontae Adams success for years and years, it's like if you can get that next number one Aaron Rodgers guy, I guess really only one good week is all you need to see to take that chance.
True, and he's potentially a keeper next year if it works out. And Aaron Rodgers is desperate to have a buddy.
He needs to start eating breakfast with someone, apparently. I hear that's the key.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, now that our last breakfast deal was ending, another one needs to ascend. But other than that, nothing super interesting. And Foster Moreau was a hot pickup at tight end, although what's his face has been out for a few weeks now. The starting.
Yeah, Darren Waller's on IR still, so.
Yeah, so I'm not sure he really inspires me. I'm not afraid of him being on Matt's team, really. But yeah, anything else to share with our audience here, Kyle, about your team, about anyone who'd be afraid?
No, not really. I'll just leave all the time possible for Caitlin's hot takes and let you guys get to it.
All right, well, thanks for joining us today, Kyle.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, see you later, Kyle.
See you guys.
So now just one more segment before I let you all go for the evening. We have Caitlin's hot takes, obviously the very exciting release of her new exercise program, CA2. Please welcome Caitlin. Very excited to hear about the CA2. I know you've been working hard with our marketing director, Shane, to put together this promotion. Tell us about it.
So you're incorrect. That's an exercise program because I couldn't think of any exercises to add to it when Shane asked about that.
I see. So you are open to exercise being part of this in the future, but that's not the primary focus.
Yeah, it's just a lifestyle.
A lifestyle. I didn't think of TB12 as a lifestyle, but I guess it is.
It is, of course. It's Tom's life.
Well, congratulations. What should your new followers, such as Katie, be excited about in the program?
So Tom tries to fight inflammation, but fighting inflammation is for the weak. Bring on the inflammation. That's why you drink acidifying drinks like Pinot Gris instead of Chardonnay. What are your thoughts?
And what do you think, Snickers?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta fight in order to be strong there. You gotta fight the inflammation. You gotta fight the urge to eat food that tastes bad. I think your diet of Butterfingers and wine sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, and 20% nightshades.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what that is, but that's fine.
Nightshades are tomatoes, peppers, I think.
No, I'm fine with that. Yeah.
But now they know what they say about exercise. It's all about controlled trauma. You're trying to injure your muscles just a little bit, and so they grow a little bigger. And that sounds really what you're trying to focus in on. Traumatize your body with harmful chemicals, make it stronger.
That sounds like your philosophy, Nate. You're taking a spin on things.
Well, maybe I need to release the NS22. We'll see. But that's not the only thing you had to tell us about today, Caitlin. You also had some interesting thoughts. We heard you discussing with John over the weekend. Share what you two decided.
Well, John was thinking that American football in Europe sounds a little clunky, so they should just call American football soccer in Europe to clarify things.
So soccer in Europe would be with a pigskin, and soccer in the US would be with a soccer ball.
Correct.
Football in Europe would be with a soccer ball, and football in US would be with a pigskin.
Is pigskin the official term we're using just to clarify?
I think
football ball sounds a little clunky.
Football. Agreed. Now, I am worried that is extremely confusing. Are you really advocating this, or could there be maybe a better name for that sport if they're averse to American football?
Well, I guess the one confusing thing is soccer is technically short for association football. I don't know how. I guess there's an SOC, an association, and that's the origin of the term to my knowledge. So I don't really know what soccer would be short for if we flipped it.
Well, it seems like that kind of still works out.
But
it's still association football.
Well, we have a league, not an association.
Yeah, what are we, the NBA?
Yeah.
They call things differently over there, though. But I mean, I am anti this take, and I will say I brought up like those who play Canadian football here in the US. They call it Canadian football. We don't make up a whole new name for it.
Who plays Canadian football in the US?
People in North Dakota.
How north?
I'm sure that there are people in the 50 US states that play Canadian football. There's a lot more kicking. So
I don't know. I don't think they're real.
But no, it's an interesting take. I don't agree with it. It's a bit hot for me.
What level of hot, Nick, do you think it is? Mild, medium, or spicy?
I'd like to hear the take in a couple different languages, and that would really make it easier for me. But I think it's a pretty medium take, above mild. I give the salsa scale, obviously.
I give it a 6 or a 7, but that's about as spicy as we got in the season. Now we do have to let you all go today. Thank you for joining us, Caitlin, and we will see you all next week.